So welcome to the May 2026 Data and Performance Management meeting. So we welcome all questions that you may have, but to better see and organize your questions, we recommend that you submit them through the Q&A option at the bottom menu of your Zoom screen. Please keep your questions general and related to the topics discussed in the meeting. If you have questions specific to your agency, please submit a help desk ticket so we're able to investigate and provide assistance for your request. So the agenda today includes project performance reports schedule, the Q1 published project performance reports, data quality element 3.12 destination, and lastly, we'll be hearing from two partner agencies who will support with providing best practices around Goal 8, exits to permanent housing. So this is the PPR publishing schedule. PPRs are published by project type, which you see across the top. And then below each project type is the month published and then the reporting period used. So as an overview, PPRs include all projects that participate in HMIS and highlight different measures that HUD and the COC have determined are important in effectively ending homelessness for clients in Orange County. The project performance overview is an excellent resource which provides detailed information on each goal as well as the schedule for publication that you saw in this previous slide. So this is available on our website, and we will be adding a link to the main PPR page in that chat where you can access this document. In Q1 of this year, the following reports were published, and we'll be highlighting those today: emergency shelter, street outreach, and homelessness prevention. So we'll first begin with emergency shelter PPR. These are the goals and outcomes reflecting the report period, November 1st, 2024 to October 31st, 2025. And you can easily see by the color coding where blue is met the threshold and red is did not meet the threshold that we have met 3 of the 7 goals. Goals where the threshold have been met are Goal 5, and that's holding steady at 89%. Projects have consistently maintained performance above the threshold, meaning they're utilizing their beds consistently and at a high percentage. Goal 6 also remains above the threshold, showing that projects are exceeding the threshold of 15%, helping clients increase their income while enrolled in the project. And finally, Goal 10 is staying consistent at 6%, ensuring that there are wraparound services and other safety net efforts to keep clients permanently housed. I wanted to highlight a couple of goals where thresholds did not meet the thresholds to help identify areas for improvement. So this would serve to better our system performance measure scores, which are used by HUD to determine new funding allocations for the COC and for the ultimate goal of housing for our most vulnerable. So we're going to begin with Goal 2. This is one of the measures included in the COC consolidated application submitted to HUD to receive COC program funds. And we're losing points on our application every year because this metric continues to rise. Lost points mean less opportunity to receive funding for people experiencing homelessness. To highlight the trend, we're going to go back one slide, and you can see that for the last 18 months, we've had a steady increase from 132 in July of 2024 to 162 in January 2026, moving away from the threshold of 30 days. So at the top, we have our project score and then a breakdown by subpopulations. And then the graph below is represents the length of days to permanent housing placement by category. So for example, this first column is 30 days or less, but I'd like you to point to highlight this last column. And this is a category of more than 365 days, and it's showing that almost 1,000 clients have a length of stay of over a year. So if you go on with this analysis, it reveals that 17 projects have an average length of stay over 180 days. 2 projects have an average length of stay over 500 days. And projects serving adult-only households have the longest length of stay. So to improve scores for this measure, we recommend the following. Review current project operations to determine if another project type is more suitable. So if you have questions about this, please submit a ticket to the HMIS Help Desk to assist with guidance. You can review project start and exit dates to ensure they reflect dates the client was physically sleeping in a bed funded by the project. Clients not occupying a bed longer than 2 days should be exited. Use the Emergency Shelter Project Performance Report details report on the Data Analysis tab of the Reports module to view length of stays for each client. Review project policies to determine if there is a max length of stay for the project, and is the project's length of stay in alignment with that policy? And if it's not, is there a reasonable explanation for this? And then finally, review and adjust your project strategies for exiting clients to permanent housing. So again, if you feel you might require some guidance around these recommendations, please feel free to submit a ticket to us. So the next goal I'd like to review is Goal 8. The COC has been consistently below the threshold for the past 18 months for emergency shelter projects, and it will be also the focus of a discussion later on. Goal 8 measures the number of clients who are placed into successful housing situations with the ultimate goal of permanently housing clients. So for emergency shelter and most project types, successful housing situations are defined as permanent housing situations. So the graph below the project scores shows enrollments by non-permanent exit categories. So you can see missing, homeless situation, temporary situation, and institutional setting. And then the table to the right shows the breakdown of responses contributing to these missing categories. And you can see an overwhelming number of them are no exit interview completed. But I want to point you to other, and any response of other in destination will not count as a positive outcome and should not be used. And so we encourage you to look for another appropriate response, or if you have a question about this, submit a ticket to the help desk for guidance on exit destination. So to improve scores for this measure, we recommend that you review each client record and verify that the exit destination is correct. You can update any other responses. Again, run that emergency shelter PPR details report for your agency or project. And then for clients who prefer not to answer, and even clients who self-exit, consider additional training around interviewing or trust building techniques to support client engagement. And then once again, we'd like to offer that if you feel you might require some guidance around any of these recommendations, we're happy to further discuss if you submit a ticket to the help desk. So I'm going to pause for questions. Okay, I'm not seeing any, so we'll move on. Hannah?
Hi everyone, I'll be going over the Street Outreach Project Performance Report, and this is the goals and outcomes for the reporting period of December 2024 to November 2025. And in this reporting period, our COC met 2 out of 4 goals, meeting one less goal than the last reporting period for street outreach projects. And so we have goal 1, which is prioritizing clients experiencing literal homelessness, which we did not meet, but we did see an increase from the last report from 95% to 96%. And we've also been seeing a consistent increase in the score for this goal over the past couple of reporting periods. So yeah, we want to keep up that increase improvement in performance. And for goal 2, decreasing the length of stay in temporary shelter and outreach, we also did not meet this goal for this reporting period after meeting it for previous reporting periods before this. So I will go over this further in the highlights for this project type in the next slide. And then goals 8 and 10, we met both of those goals with improved performance for both. Goal 8, helping clients exit to successful housing situations, we saw an increase of 5%, going from 20 to 25%. And then lastly, we also met goal 10, which is ensuring clients do not fall back into homelessness after being housed, with an improved score of 6%. And so for this reporting period, we want to highlight goal 2, which is decrease length of stay in temporary shelter and outreach. And the ultimate goal of this project is to move people to sheltered or permanent housing situations as quick as possible. And the threshold is 65 days or less. And for this reporting period, our average was 66 days, so it was slightly above. And we want to go over some data errors that affect our score that may be helpful to review to make sure that your project is reflecting the correct performance. And so on this slide, we provide some guidance for when clients should be exited from a street outreach project, depending on their exit destination. And so you'll see in purple the street outreach enrollment. And the first visual is showing a situation where the client is referred to an emergency shelter or transitional housing project. And in this case, the clients should be exited from street outreach on the date they're enrolled into the emergency shelter or transitional housing project. And then the second visual is showing where a client was referred to a rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, or other permanent housing project. And for permanent housing enrollments, there's a time where clients are matched to an opportunity, but they have not yet moved into that unit, which is why the purple and light blue box overlaps in that visual. And so clients should be exited from street outreach once they move into the unit with the exit date of the client's housing move-in date. And we want to record these exits accurately so that your street outreach is considered a successful exit. And we also have a KB that goes over the street outreach exiting protocol. So please feel free to review that for more information and guidance on this topic.
Linda? Oh, I see we have a question. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, yeah, this is Ramon. I had a quick question. I know that the procedures in the slide mentioned beforehand was outlining for street outreach exits. Is there a procedure or standard policy for individuals who are engaged with street outreach before getting into shelter? Do they have to create a program and in HMIS as a street outreach team before putting someone into shelter?
For your questions. Just wanted to clarify if I understood your question correctly. You're asking for our street outreach projects, once the client moves into an emergency shelter, how can they continue to track their services? I'm not sure if I'm
No, more
under.
so if a street outreach team is obligated to create a program showing they were involved in street outreach on HMIS before having them come into shelter.
Yes, it's encouraged for agencies that operate programs that serve our community members who are experiencing homelessness to participate in HMS. There may be funding requirements that you have for street outreach. So if you have funding requirements, then you do need to participate in HMS. And then for other funding that doesn't require HMS, it is still encouraged for agencies to have their projects set up just so that our system of care have a full history and understanding of someone's homeless experience and housing journey. And just wanted to also share regarding what Hannah shared. For once a client does exit to street outreach, it is encouraged for street outreach projects to also set up a services only to continue to track services because we understand sometimes there is still ongoing wraparound services and to make sure that street outreach projects are exiting client with positive outcome and avoiding overlap. That's the solution is having a street services only project paired with the street outreach. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Ramon. And so are there any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or you can enter them in the Q&A box. Okay, I'm not seeing any, so we'll move on to homelessness prevention. Linda?
So for the homelessness prevention PPR, we have a total of 5 goals. So for this reporting period, our COC met 3 out of the 5 thresholds for our homelessness prevention projects. And these goals are measuring the project performance for all homelessness prevention projects in HMIS from the reporting period of January 2025 to the end of December 2025. And based on these charts, the projects have been consistent on meeting the same goals as it has for the last reporting period. And that is goal 6, which is on helping adults increase their income while being enrolled in the project. We can see that there has been a slight decrease of 4% from the last reporting period of 69, but we're still meeting that threshold of greater than or equal to 55%. And then also goal 7, this is also similar to goal 6. This is on helping adults maintain or increase their income as a project exit. So we have a little bit of an increase there from 69% to 71 for this reporting period. And then also for goal 10, and this is to ensure that clients do not fall back into homelessness after being housed, meeting the threshold of 10% or less with a score of 3% for all projects. A goal that I wanted to highlight is goal 8, which is to help clients exit to successful housing situations. I wanted to highlight this goal because we were so close to that threshold of 90% for the past few reporting periods. And for this reporting period, we scored just 89%. So just kind of barely missing that threshold of 90. So based on this chart, there seems like there are still a good amount of missing responses for client exit destination. Um, so we do strongly believe that this may be an issue due to data entry error. So it is very important to collect the client's exit destination at project exit, just in order to determine whether the client has successfully exited to permanent housing. And in return, this will help improve the score for this goal. Another goal that I wanted to highlight is goal 10, which ensures that clients do not fall back into homelessness after being housed from the project. And then you can see from this chart on the right-hand side that the rate for returning to homelessness within 6 months is slightly at a higher rate than all the other time categories. So our suggestion would be that agencies should review the practices and possibly offer wraparound services in order to help clients in housing. Um, I also wanted to highlight this goal because it shows that we have been consistently meeting this goal for the past reporting periods. And just to show that our homelessness prevention projects are effective in our COC. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I'm gonna pause for questions. Feel free to unmute yourself or ask your questions in the Q&A box. Okay, I'm not seeing any additional questions, so we'll move forward. Next discussion is on the 3.12 destination errors. Hannah?
Yeah, so we wanted to review the Destination Universal Data Element as the HUD Longitudinal Systems Analysis, LSA, and the System Performance Measures, the SPM reports, are flagging missing the 3.12 destination responses in our system of care. And the table on the right is showing the destination error rate. And for some projects like the street outreach projects, we see that percentage going up to 54%. So we hope to reduce these data errors by reducing the number of don't know, refused, or missing responses for this data element. And so agencies are encouraged to verify their data for accuracy. And so we've been seeing a higher percentage of data not collected responses for the destination data element. And this shows that either the last exit destination was skipped over, it wasn't asked, or the client exited without an exit interview, which impacts the score for this data element. And so some recommendations that we have to improve the completeness and accuracy score for the destination data element and to reduce the number of data not collected responses are to enhance client engagement to improve data collection at exit, perform regular audits to identify errors and missing data, ensure consistent data entry through training, whether it be internal staff training or attending trainings that the HMI's team hosts. And lastly, please feel free to refer to the Data Standards Manual on the 3.12 destination data element for additional information.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm just going to pause again for any questions. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to our next section. So we're going to transition to two providers who have agreed to join us today. Pathways of Hope and Family Promise will be sharing their strategies and best practices for helping clients exit to permanent housing. Pathways of Hope, did you want to start? And go ahead and feel free to introduce yourselves.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Oneli Flores. I'm the Housing Programs Manager here at Pathways of Hope. I've been with the organization about 5 years now. And this is my colleague, Alan.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm the Emergency Shelter Case Manager, and I'm coming up on 2 years.
And today we wanted to share about some of the best practices that we've implemented in the last couple of years, or that Adan has definitely spearheaded over at the shelter in terms of what has helped us secure permanent exits from our emergency shelter. And so some of the best practices have been to set clear and realistic expectations about what housing is available in our county, what a typical wait list can look like for services like a project-based voucher or a Section 8 voucher, and being realistic with the client, with the clients and also with ourselves about the options that are available for us to collaborate with our clients with. And so a lot of our clients want to get into the Section 8 housing program, and it's really important to to have these difficult but at the same time patient conversations with all of our participants about what options are available if they are currently staying at an emergency shelter where maybe their stay is not going to be as long as what a wait list may require, which can often be years, depending on the family's vulnerabilities. Additionally, we discussed all possible pathways to permanent housing, including any interest lists, rental applications, employment, budgeting, savings, reunification, diversion. And so we work very intimately with all of our families to identify what support systems they currently have and what they are willing to engage with in order to achieve their goal of permanent housing. And all of the options that our families are willing to engage with, we're going to support them through that. And so whether it be, hey, I'm going to be renting a room with a cousin, fantastic. Or maybe it's, I'm going to pick up a second job and my partner is going to pick up an overnight shift so that we can increase our income, so that we can increase our credit, so that we can then save up for the first month's rent and make our application more appealing to the landlords that are in the current housing marketplace here. And so we discuss all of these options. And lastly, we also remember that the clients are the experts in their own lives. And throughout this whole process, our role is to walk along with them, provide perspective, guidance, and support so that they can determine what options are going to be best, right? Many of us can anticipate, hey, this is what I would do in this particular situation. However, it is the clients themselves that are going to follow through on whatever housing stabilization plan that you establish along with them. And so they're going to be the ones that are going to be waking up extra bright and early to catch the bus, to go get that job, to save the paycheck, to budget, so that they can continue to accomplish their goals. And so we walk alongside with all of the clients that we serve to determine what is specifically going to work best for them. Because oftentimes the ideas that we may have may not work the best for a client of who, hey, maybe they struggle with taking the bus. Maybe they struggle with, standing outside for extended hours, waiting for a bus to come by. And maybe they have different abilities. And so it's always going to be important to really identify what is going to work for the client and what they're willing to engage with to achieve the goals that they have established for themselves. Next slide.
Awesome. Key supports for successful permanent housing exits. Pathways of Hope here, we do practice the housing first model. So when the when the clients come in, establishing that housing stabilization plan is vital. I take it that basic needs are just as important. So creating plans in place to make sure that they have reliable transportation, food, groceries, and community supports are just vital to support them in finding successful permanent housing. So helping clients become document ready and making sure that they have all available birth certificates, identifications when it's time to apply for additional services is really important. Focusing on transportation, how they're going to get to work, how their children are going to get to school. That takes up a lot of peace of mind. And in order to focus on the overall goal of finding permanent housing, it's collaborating with McKinney Rental liaisons and informing them of what supports are there for them. Collaborating across teams, departments, connecting clients to a full range of agency resources. On Cali, that's an amazing resource, and we do want to inform the clients of what that offers. And then again, they're the experts of their lives, so we want to encourage them under their best discretion to use those funds appropriately.
And those are some of the things that have helped us out in the last few months and years in supporting a lot of our clients to exit permanent housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Oneli and Aron. We really appreciate your sharing those best practices. I do want to open it up and see if anybody has any questions that they want to ask. Feel free to unmute yourself, or you can ask your question in the Q&A box. I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your input again.
Thank
And yeah, thank you for being with us. So we're going to move on to Family Promise. If you'd like to share a little bit about yourselves and share your best practices.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Priscilla. I'm one of the case managers on the team.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian, and I am the program manager.
And we are Family Promise of Orange County. So we help, we give hope, and we help bring our families home. So essentially, our House of Ruth is our short-term housing program. With our short-term housing program, we take a client-centered and housing-focused approach. So we strive to transition our families from short-term housing to a permanent living situation within the span of 3 to 6 months. And we do this by developing individualized plans within the first 48 hours that consist of both short-term and long-term goals. Our case managers are on site, so they are easily accessible to clients. They're flexible, they're client-centered, so that they support their clients and they're able to provide individualized extensions and services based on each family's unique circumstances and engagement in the program. So that's one thing that makes our program really unique, is that at the end of the goal is to get them to graduate the program at 3 months. But, sometimes, unfortunately, that's not always the reality. But that also is what makes our program really unique, is that when clients reach that 3-month mark, we take a holistic approach when considering on whether we should exit a client or grant them a month extension. And that consists of considering case management practices, any barriers or challenges the client may have faced, their engagement in the program, and their progress towards their goals. So we actually have a client that I feel encaptures that unique aspect of our program. So this client had already been enrolled in our program for 6 months. She had 3 jobs. She had her kids, her partner. So at her 6-month mark, she was about ready to graduate our program and be on her own. She was finally stable and, she was ready to go. But unfortunately, she went through a domestic violence incident. And that led to losing her job. That led to losing transportation or transportation instability. It created a lot of additional barriers because she no longer could work because she didn't have anybody to watch her kids. So childcare then became a huge barrier for her. So with the help of our case manager, Eder, he provided some intensive one-on-one case management. So he helped her build her resume. He helped her apply for jobs on Indeed. He helped refer her to resources like OC Workforce. He helped connect her to like local job agencies. So with that, she was able to secure not one, but 2 jobs. So she was able to kind of establish a secure source of income. On top of that, he also collaborated, our project collaborated with donors and community partners to address the client's transportation barrier. So we were actually able to assist the client with securing a donated vehicle. And then on top of that, Eder also provided her with childcare resources. So now she had childcare so that she would be able to work. So now, after all that kind of was resolved, he also helped facilitate a reunification with supportive family. So essentially, the client and her children moved in with her mom, and now the client had 2 jobs. So she had her stable income. She had the donated vehicle. So she had secure transportation. And she had childcare for her children. So she didn't have to worry about calling off or not being able to make it to work due to lack of childcare. And she's actually currently in our stabilization program now, and she's continuing to thrive. But again, we understand that for our clients, life happens, and challenges and barriers, like we give our clients grace, we give them this grace because had we not given her an extension, if we would have just exited her at those 6 months, we don't know where she'd be right now. So we like to take that approach because we think with taking that approach, we were able to successfully have her graduate from the program. Which, talking about holistic practices, and graduating the program, Brian's going to share a little bit more about our best practices here at FPOC.
Hello, everybody. So yeah, as Priscilla was mentioning, we do assist our members while they're at our facility. We build them up. So we provide wraparound and holistic services. We provide comprehensive support and host workshops directly on site for life skills, financial literacy, and career readiness. We also do resident meetings, which is community meetings, at least once a month, just to work as a community, fostering a community, give the residents the voice as they build up to be ready to be self-sustained. We practice a person-centered approach. Every individual walks through a door with a unique story. We meet the members where they're at and work from there to build them up to be able to self-sustain themselves and get permanent housing. We are strong believing that our case managers need a manageable caseload, so in that way they'll be able to perform and serve the members with well-detailed and perfect services. And then our staff training. So we follow our client's journey. We train our staff to view our work through the lens of the clients. We meet them with their needs and their wants, and from there we build, like Priscilla said, within 48 hours of intake, we will do a housing plan. Just to make sure that we're able to build them up to be able to get housed. We do practice trauma-informed. A massive component of our training is trauma-informed care. Many of our families have experienced severe crisis in the past before entering our facility, and our staff is trained to prioritize their safety and empower them by motivational interviewing as well. And then, so how do we know that this is working? Our clients actually improve and track towards success. It all comes down to the housing plan. Our housing plan is our blueprint where our families and ourselves as case managers will be successful in getting our families housed. We do SMART goal focus. So like that, we're able to, have a certain measurement and a time bond to meet that goal and assist the members and guide them. It's always 50-50 collab. We are the guiding tools, and our members will put in the work in order for them to be able to complete the mission of being housed. And we always refer back to our housing plan because that is our blueprint, and that's how we measure real progress. We celebrate wins and we adjust with strategies as we hit roadblocks. So by combining wraparound and person-centered care with a highly trained trauma-informed staff and integrated all in concrete early stages planning, we don't just assist family temporary, we empower them to rebuild their lives. And that's what we do at Orange County LC.
So that's how we house families or bring their families home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was great. I'm just going to open it up to everyone for questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself or ask your question in the Q&A box.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions, but thank you again, Priscilla and Brian, and again to both Pathways of Hope and Family Promise for assisting in this and providing your best practices. We really appreciate support in this way. So we are at the end of our meeting. We're going to open it up for the last time for Q&A. If anybody has any questions about anything presented here, feel free to unmute yourself or ask your question in the Q&A box. Yeah, so I'm not seeing any questions, but so that wraps up our data and performance management meeting. We thank you very much for attending. Again, after this meeting, we will be posting the slides and the recording on our website. Thank you all and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
Ready?
Bye, thank you.